Testing. We are starting the program in 3 minutes. Because there are people at home, we we're gonna need to be exact. But so find a seat, still get some food. You gotta get a few. It's like waiting for the eclipse. It's coming. It's coming. I did have the privilege of being in a place with the totality, and it really was. Wait, wait, wait. As it got thinner.
Those were not prepared remarks. You did not have the eclipse to it. We're just going to wait until he's ready to go.
You tell me.
Yeah.
I realized what I didn't say on here is I have to first start and say who I am.
So I think you have a hot light. Just so you might want to.
Okay, we're live. I know we want to make the folks who had stayed at home jealous, but welcome. My name is Betsy Johnson. I'm the current president of Walk, Massachusetts. This is our 1-year anniversary of being Walk, Massachusetts, which makes me very happy because I live in downtown Springfield, Massachusetts. Another highlight of this past year, as was that Walk Massachusetts was awarded one of the AARP's Community Challenge grants. And this enabled us to bring the Walk Audit Academy program that had been developed the year before in Worcester to Springfield, and really has been very helpful for us in our local pedestrian advocacy, and to gain a lot of new activists who came out and helped us with a number of the walk audits that we did. In this past year, we welcomed 7 new board members. So I want them to all raise their number. Most of them are around this room. Raise your hand over here. Thank you. As well as old board members as well. Thank you. But I also want to extend very special thanks to Bill Rayalt, who is leaving the board after many, many years. But hopefully we're actually not going to let him off the events committee. So I'm not sure he knows that yet, but thank you, Bill. There you are. Thank you. Before I turn over the podium, though, I have to make the first fundraising pitch of the evening. We do look at the annual meeting as an opportunity to try to increase our support from devoted members and attendees of the annual celebration, both here and what do we have? As many people at home as are in this room. So where our goal for this evening is $10,000, and actually twice that much, because we have a board member who has offered to double whatever is raised this evening. So on your table, you have a QR code. You can always use the infamous QR code, or go to walkmassachusetts.org/donate if you're at home, and give us a donation during the evening. But at this point, I'm going to be turning over our podium to our co-directors. But actually, Althea Wong Acorn is not here tonight because she's off on maternity leave. She and her husband, Joe, just recently, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, actually now, welcomed a baby boy. His name is Ash. He's the newest member of our Walk Massachusetts family. We hope Althea is actually watching tonight, and she gets want to extend our thanks to her for all her hard work with the organization. And then meanwhile, thanks to Brendan, who's having to now do everything all by himself. Well, he'll introduce the rest of our terrific team, who really are terrific. Brendan, great. You're on.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you so much, Betsy. Everyone, I'm Brendan Carney. As you heard, I'm now a co-executive director. That is a new model for us as Walk Massachusetts. Althea and I stepped in these roles in the fall. I think everyone can hear me. I think that sound good leaving this year. It really has been a learning experience, and challenging and exciting all at the same time. Especially the last few weeks, as I got to learn everything Althea was doing as well. I do want to say a big thank you to our small but mighty staff, Yolanda Spinola, Johnny Gomez Pereira, and Emma Atri, who have all pitched in big time to write grants, draft budgets, meet with potential grant partners for programs in the coming years. Lots of exciting possibilities, but none of it could be possible without the staff. So once again, thank you so much. I also want to share a bit about what we've been up to since last April. 2023 saw continued growth in our monthly resource sharing, Walk Massachusetts network calls that happen on the third Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. Emma will be sharing more about that in a little bit. Someone said, "You're doing these on Zoom. You should record them." It's like, gosh, I can't believe we didn't think of that. So we started recording them this year. and we put them up on our YouTube. So even if you can't make it at 1 p.m. during a weekday, you can watch the recordings afterwards. We do stop it, so we don't record the Q&A because we actually want it to be a learning experience and people can ask any sort of question. They don't have to feel that it will be on the internet forever, because we really do look at these as educational and learning sessions. I will put a pitch in for next week, although Emma's going to. We're going to have a conversation from two folks in Worcester, a city councilor on supporting safe streets initiatives, and a local advocate, Karen Valentine-Goins, who's here in the room tonight, about how people can work with their elected representatives to get safer streets. So thank you, Karen. Betsy referenced it, but thanks to an AARP grant, we brought the Walk Audit Academy program to Springfield this past fall. This was one of the walk audits we did. This could have been the hottest day of the summer that we did this. We took a photo in the shade here because it was only 86 in the shade. When we took our thermometer and did it on the pavement in the sun, it was 114. So shade is important for pedestrians, all right? So we need more trees, more greenery in our cities. So, you'll hear more about that program in a bit. I also got the opportunity to speak at AARP's Age and Dementia Friendly Conference in October at Holy Cross in Worcester. As a Holy Cross grad, this was fantastic. And I was on a panel about harnessing the value of residents for local change. And that's really what everything we do is all about. Getting people out on the street, doing a walk audit, and realizing that their is really important and can make a difference. It was great to be able to talk about walk audits, benches, and ensuring public spaces can work for all ages. I really appreciate that AARP Massachusetts invites us into these conversations, and that they see the connection between walkability with age and dementia-friendly efforts. So thank you, AARP Massachusetts. I am not going to talk about the Caminata Seguros program, which is fantastic in East Boston with Green Routes, because Johnny is going to share more about that later when we recognize Noemi for all her work. So thank you, Noemi, and congratulations. But building on the efforts in East Boston, we're pleased to announce that Boston Public Health Commission has asked WalkMass Massachusetts to be a partner as part of their recently awarded 5-year CDC REACH grant. Yeah. So some of the team from Boston Public Health Commission is in the house. That will focus on East Boston and Mattapan, and that will start later this year. We're really excited about that work. You're going to hear a little bit more about the Community Walks project that is done around the Boston housing developments with a new home with the research team at Tufts. Yolanda will share more about that in a bit. So I will skip that whole section. So way to go, Yolanda. Thank you for simplifying this. For the 3rd year in a row, this March, we released our fatal pedestrian crash report that looks at MassDOT data from the previous year. In 2023, 1 in every 5, 20% of fatal motor vehicle crashes in Massachusetts involved a person walking, getting hit by the driver of a car. 40 cities and towns experienced at least 1 fatal pedestrian crash over the course of the year, and 8 municipalities saw multiple crashes. More than half, it was about 54% of the deaths occurred in environmental justice communities. While the fatal crash numbers were not as drastic as last year's report, serious injury crashes were higher. There's still much work that can be done. And part of that, we feel we have a role to play. With over three quarters of fatal pedestrian crashes in 2023 happening on local streets controlled by cities and towns, not MassDOT, we released a new resource to educate and empower people to create safer streets in their own communities, the Walk Audit Academy video series. These videos were educational materials for our efforts in Worcester and in Springfield already, and now we're making those videos publicly available. The series provides guidance on what goes into making a safe street and how to organize a group of friends and neighbors to take actions on specific streets. In addition, we're offering that training program that we did in Worcester and Springfield to other communities across the state. Please talk to us if you know local funding in your community that would help bring that to your place. We want to help more places. If you want to learn more about this effort, go to walkmass.org/WAA. And if you want to make a donation, don't go to walkmassachusetts.org/donate. Go to walkmass.org/donate. So Walk Massachusetts does redirect to our website, but the donate link doesn't. So, but Walk Massachusetts would not be where we are today if it weren't for partnerships we've formed across the state these years. First is Walk Boston, and now is Walk Massachusetts. And the collaborations that are in the work mainly because of many of the people that are in this room. So look around. This is a great group of people. Thank you for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Like you're all contributing this today. You are all some of the important building blocks for our neighborhoods and communities across the Commonwealth and making it a more walkable Commonwealth. Thank you as well to the Bar Foundation for supporting us and many of our transportation partners, some of who are also here tonight, and for providing resources, advice, and the trust to grow and evolve our organization. So thank you, Naja, who's here as well. She's probably not happy that I just called her out. Thank you, Naja, for your friendship. Thank you all to the Point 32 Health Foundation for your steadfast support of age-friendly efforts, not just for our organization, but for so many across Massachusetts. Thank you to Tufts and Boston Children's Hospital for your support funding some of our major programs. We really appreciate how you're all creating space to us to form genuine, trusting relationships in communities with community members that we're working with. The relationships are key to ensuring that the built environment changes implemented in neighborhoods across the state are able to be, asked for, and they're what people want. People want safer streets. We're giving people the tools to make sure that the things that are implemented work for them too. I want to thank all of our advocacy partners in the Massachusetts Vision Zero Coalition, Livable Streets, Mass Bike, Transit Matters, Transportation for Massachusetts, Safe Roads Alliance, Boston Cyclists Union, and many more. I know I've already thanked some of you personally tonight, but behalf on the entire team and our board, we're so thankful for the work that we all do together. Thank you. We're also grateful for other nonprofit organizations who transportation might be not in the name, but it is in their DNA. From Green Roots, Mattapan Food and Fitness Coalition, Green Cambridge, Walk Bike Worcester, Walk Bike Springfield, you do have it in your name, and so many more that really help deepen our community impact and invite us in to collaborate with you. Thank you all also to our corporate and individual donors at any level. Like you really help us do this work. Anything that is not grant funded, it's because of corporate donations and individual donations that we are able to be responsive to places across the state, which then sometimes sets the stage for those bigger grants. So thank you for that. All of these programs mesh with the aims for our strategic plan that our board worked on over the last couple of years. We really want to continue to support local partners so that they may identify, lift up, and speak out for those needed improvements that promote accessibility in their own neighborhoods. We're going after grant opportunities alongside community partners to ensure we can identify those priorities together. We aim to bring on another class of board members this summer to continue to expand, as Betsy was saying. We're expanding the skills, lived experience, and geographic area represented because we are Walk Massachusetts. We're going to bring on another group this summer, and then we're going to bring on another group next summer. And we are going to keep doing that to make sure that our board members constantly are reflecting the people across the state and that people feel that they are able to contribute as a board member. And then they can keep contributing to the organization on a committee, like Betsy was saying. Another thing is, if you are interested in joining a committee or learning more about the board, talk to some of the folks here with our name tags. They are board members, and they will be happy to talk to you about how to get involved. And, lastly, a long-term goal when changing our name to Walk Massachusetts is really to build that capacity to sustain pedestrian safety and walkability efforts once a grant ends, once our active participation on a project ends. But, what does that mean? That means having people feel that they can go and follow up with their DPW on the recommendations from a walkout that they took part in, and knowing that they can call us or email us or send us a message on Instagram, because Emma created an Instagram account finally for us. But knowing that Massachusetts can be here to answer questions and be a partner. We're in it for the long haul, and we're glad you're all here alongside us to continue to work towards a Massachusetts where people walking, no matter race, identity, age, ability, or lived experience, feel safe, connected, and valued on our streets and sidewalks. Thank you so much. So at this point, I'd like to invite Yolando, Johnny, and Emma up here. We started this section of the annual celebration called 1 Minute, 1 Slide a few years ago, so we can share more about our programs, but pass the mic to other staff members. but also challenge us to be concise. That is something that this was always a challenge for Bob Sloan in particular. For apparently many people know Bob Sloan, if that was the case. We all love Bob Sloan, and we always gave Bob 90 seconds, even though we told him he was only getting 60. So, and so we will each have one slide, and then we'll have 1 minute to share about that topic. So let's dive right in. Yolanda, I believe. Well, we will be honoring Bob Sloan later this year. The first walk of every spring season is the Bob Sloan Walk, and it's actually going to be in Worcester. Tentatively May 22nd, 3rd, May 23rd. It's a Thursday. We will share more information about that. We did a walk in Worcester in 2015. We may be seeing the same route, and a lot has changed in the period since. So it will be coordinated with the commuter rail, so you will be able to take commuter rail out if you'd like, and join us. We'll be starting by Union Station. More to come on that. If you register for tonight, which you all did, you will be getting information about that. So on to 1 minute, one slide. Yolanda, would you like to, you can turn that microphone on if you'd like.
Hold on, I have to get ready here.
Yeah,
because I have exactly 1 minute.
Let me also officially start my watch. No pressure at all. So
A lot of pressure.
yeah, you want
Maybe I should grab it. Okay.
Yeah, that works.
All right,
So
there you go.
when you're ready.
All right. I'm ready. All right. So this year I got to work on, well, I've been working on this project since I got started here at Walk Massachusetts, but some stuff really got to move forward this year on the Community Walks project, which is a research project between Tufts, Boston Housing Authority, Trinity Management, and us. So we're one of the partners on this project. The whole idea of the research project is to see what can get residents out of the Boston Housing Authority buildings, out around their communities, walking around, accessing physical activity. And we play one key role, which is building out some of the infrastructure pieces. So like this wayfinding signs that they can utilize to walk around their community. We want them to advocate for changes so that they can actually improve sidewalks and other infrastructure pieces. Because if those things are falling apart, people are less likely to choose walking around in physical activity in their community. So this summer, myself, Brendan, our interns, Nina, Garfunkel helped us like create all these awesome signs, and we distributed them throughout the community. And now this year, I'm going to be focusing on the second part of the project, which is like these advocacy trainings. And I'm really excited to get people to understand how they can like push their local government to improve things.
Nice. Great. Right under the Bob Sloan wire. So nicely done. Next up is Johnny.
Hi everyone, my name is Johnny. We're starting?
No, I will wait till you introduce
yourself. Okay, perfect. Hi everyone, my name is Johnny. So this past year, Walk Massachusetts hired a bilingual staff member. That's me. I'm excited to be working again in partnership with folks that I've been working with previously. So folks like Noemi. One of the things that I've been supporting with is Caminatas Verdes y Seguras. So the purpose of Caminatas Verdes y Seguras is, I'm glad that we're dedicating resources to continuing to build relationships with participants of Caminatas, folks sitting up here who are amazing. And this program is being led by a Green Youth staff member, Noemi Rodriguez, who's the Waterfront Initiative organizer. This group convenes a number of multi-generational folks, multilingual folks in East Boston who gather weekly throughout the warmer months for physical activity. So the novel thing about this is that this walking group provides a space to organize around issues that affects residents in East Boston. So this has touched upon topics of environmental justice, housing, green space, and now transportation. So we have a couple of pictures up here. We have Beatriz who's with us today. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Beatriz is with us, and we got some coverage. I'm blanking on the name, or I can't see it, it's too far. But she's on the top right corner, and Noemi's on the other side. So we had the opportunity to sort of uplift the work that's being done throughout this partnership with folks that are directly affected being able to speak towards this issue. Other things that we did this year included a demonstration day through a grant called Safe Routes to Parks. I'm blanking. Yes, I think that's right. But we had a demonstration day. We were essentially putting out temporary installations for an hour in Boston. So the BPDA released Planet Boston. We're there. Okay. We had the opportunity to put out temporary installations. These are installations that folks would like to see in their community to make streets safer for all. And we also had folks participate in a discussion with the BPDA and planning department, which is amazing. And I'll be presenting at Bari later this year, this Friday.
So, nice work. And you'll hear more when we present the Golden Shoe to Noemi in a little bit too.
Thank you. I'm gonna steal this piece over here. Hi, everybody. My name is Emma. I am the new development and communications coordinator here at WalkMass. First off, I'm gonna have everybody. You telling me now?
Sure.
Let's go. Okay. I'm gonna make sure everybody is gonna go on their Instagram and their Facebook, and they're also gonna go even on LinkedIn and follow us. I'm on there all day, every day, and we're growing our followings. And if you don't do it, I'm gonna beat you up. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about the WalkMass network meeting. So we have it every month. It is the third Wednesday every month, besides June this year because of Juneteenth. We have one coming next week that is based around Worcester. Adele and Karen will be speaking more about Worcester and just safety issues going on for that. Following that in May, learning more about ProWalk, public right-of-way accessibility and guidelines. And then in June, we will be learning more about getting our time and mapping with speaker is going to be Dash Nelson, president and the creator. If you guys haven't already, I believe they still have their map exhibit open at the Boston Public Library. I know we're going there next week. So I would definitely get over there and check that out. Further, I just want to thank everybody for coming here tonight and supporting this great cause. And if you haven't already, you should think about donating. So
Thank you. Great job. All right, and I too have one slide. So here we go. My topic is storytelling and messaging. On the left, you can see my photo roll after a walk audit. Tons of important details. No people. Like how does this really impact people? But on the right, you can see a photo from an actual photojournalist from Mass Live and the Springfield Republican, who really tell the story about this same walkout in Springfield. We step off a curb ramp as soon as the walk light came on. But I'm not even halfway across at this point when it started flashing "Don't walk," and it was a solid red hand before I got across. Rebecca is right in the middle with her mobility device named Myrtle, which is amazing. But she says she typically doesn't cross this intersection because she can't make it all the way across. On a map, they got it right when they built the senior center a quarter mile away from senior housing. Roosevelt Ave is in between the two, which is 4 lanes of traffic. It is not lost on me how ironic it is that the senior housing is called Independence House. The devil's in the details and shows how walk on it can ground truth what you're seeing on a plan. That was 106. Okay, I was close. Yeah, thank you. So thank you to the staff for doing 1 minute, 1 slide. So, a reminder, your contributions tonight and your support throughout the year help us with projects, the ones that we just highlighted, because not many of those actually have grant funding. Those are all things where we saw a need and we were like, yes, we should be doing this. How do we fund this? Like, it's through the people like you. Thank you so much. So next up, we're actually going to start the Golden Shoe Awards. The Golden Shoe Awards are fun. These are fantastic. These are handmade every year. It has now been passed down to me to make these. For many years, it has been passed down through board and staff at the organization. But the Golden Shoes go each year to celebrate and reward those who have bettered the walking environment and exemplified the ideals that guide the organization. Golden Shoes can go to individuals, agencies, municipalities, companies. We love recognizing the people inside big organizations that are sometimes unheralded, but they're doing fantastic work to move things along. If you have a nomination for a future Golden Shoe winner, please send us a note. We would love to hear how we can recognize people for the great work they're doing. So how this will work, I will invite each group up. someone will introduce them and say why they're getting the award. And then one person from each group is welcome to give up to 2 minutes worth of remarks, and then you'll take a photo. We are not going to be as strict with that as we had to last year when Fred Salvucci had a microphone. We gave Fred 10 minutes, and that was not enough. But yeah, so thank you. So if you would come up here to the side so we can get a nice photo along the side with your new award. So first up, I think Johnny, I think you're coming on up here.
Hello, everyone. I'm back, and I'm going to speak a little bit more. I'm reclaiming my time a little bit. So tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing a grassroots community organizer, Noemi Rodriguez, for her work around the intersection of environmental justice and walkability. Noemi and I met at Green Roots, where she currently works as a waterfront initiative organizer. Originally from El Salvador, she arrived in East Boston more than 10 years ago. Throughout this time, Noemi has proven to be a successful leader and has organized alongside her neighbors to address inequities that members of the community face. This has included waterfront access, food access, environmental justice burdens in East Boston, tenant rights, and more recently, walkability. Tonight, we're recognizing Noemi for her dedication to getting community members active through Caminatas Verdes y Seguras. During the warmer months of the year, Noemi organizes and convenes neighbors in East Boston of varying ages, languages, and abilities. I've had the honor of being a participant and a guest on those walks, where we take an hour out of our busy weeks to convene, be in community, and walk around East Boston. Oftentimes, these walks have a theme that serve as a catalyst to further organizing efforts in East Boston. This past year, I had the opportunity to work with Caminatas participants in a different capacity through the lens of walkability. Through my work, I've witnessed the power and tenacity of community organizing as Noemi convened members to share their feedback on upcoming projects such as the BPDA's Plan East Boston. We're here to celebrate the impact of the caminatas as neighbors are empowered to organize and participate in city and transportation planning processes. Thank you so much, Nomi, for your work. Yeah, thank you for accepting the golden shoe. She's going to be sharing some words, and we're going to be doing consecutive interpretation. So she'll be speaking a couple of sentences, and I'll be interpreting that.
Buenas noches, no sé si tengo tiempo. Sí, okay. Ok, buenas noches, como lo dijo el compañero Johnny, mi nombre es Noemi Rodríguez, soy la organizadora en la iniciativa del área costera de East Boston con Raíces Verdes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Noemi Rodriguez, and as my companion or colleague Johnny shared, I am the Waterfront Initiative Organizer at Green Roots.
Durante los tiempos, llevamos ya alrededor de 7 años con las caminatas verdes.
Throughout, so we have had Caminatas Verdes going on for 7 years now.
Esta fue la iniciativa para empezar a trabajar con nuestra comunidad, especialmente East Boston.
This was an initiative that we started in order to begin working with our community members in East Boston.
Como Johnny lo mencionó, es una comunidad con sobrecargas que tiene, ¿verdad?, injusticias ambientales.
As Johnny mentioned, East Boston is one of the communities that holds a larger environmental justice burden.
Y esto inicia para poder incentivar a la comunidad, a la familia, a los niños, a las personas de la tercera edad.
And this issue allows us to get folks of all ages, children, adults, people of different abilities involved on this work.
Para identificar esas áreas, esos espacios verdes que nos pertenecen y que también son parte de nuestro diario vivir en nuestra comunidad.
So these walks allow us to identify the green spaces in our community and serve a vital part of our lives.
La justicia ambiental es un tema muy amplio, pero nosotros decidimos, ¿verdad?, trabajar con familias migrantes como yo lo soy.
Environmental justice is a wide-ranging topic, but we're using this as a vehicle to reach a number of folks, particularly immigrant families, just as I'm an immigrant myself.
Hasta ahora contamos con 30 familias activas, desde niños hasta personas de la tercera edad.
So now we can count with 30 families that participate in Caminatas Seguras.
Gracias. Gracias a Caminar Massachusetts por este regalo, por este reconocimiento. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Walk Massachusetts, for recognizing this work.
Para nosotros también ha sido de mucho aprendizaje el caminar seguros en nuestro vecindario.
And this has been a learning experience for us as well, learning that walkability is a right for us in our neighborhoods.
También quiero agradecer a mis colegas que están todos ahí
I also,
y a nuestros caminantes. Sin ellos nosotros no hacemos lo que tenemos que hacer.
I also like to thank my colleagues who are here in front of me. I would also like to thank the folks who also participate in the caminatas who are also in front of us.
Muchas gracias a todos y feliz noche.
Thank you very much and have a great night.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Next up, Yolando, would you like to?
Hi, folks. I'm back. So I have the pleasure to be up here to recognize the Worcester Department of Public Health with their Golden Shoe tonight. This recognition celebrates the department's unwavering dedication to meaningful community engagement, and their actually, Cameron should be up here with me. I would love for her to be up here. She
Sandy and
understands-
Adalia, come on up. So
she understands the community engagement efforts that the department has been putting in Worcester. And they are also really dedicated to Vision Zero strategies, making Worcester streets safer for everyone, including folks who are residents and visitors to the community. Through their partnership with us, we've been able to host multiple walk audits, and we've been able to they basically started the whole Walk Audit Academy in the community. Their commitment to pedestrian safety is fostering like an example for other communities on how to like engage folks, get folks involved, and impact the transportation infrastructure. We commend them for their outstanding efforts, and this Golden Shoe Award is just a little symbol of our appreciation and recognition of all of your work. I'm going to pass off to Karen just for sharing a few more words.
Hi, everyone. So I asked Brendan and Yolanda if I could say a couple of things. So I'm Karen Valentine Goins. I'm known in this room mostly for Walk Bike Worcester. But 15 years ago, I was the coordinator for the Mass Motion program starting in Worcester, and I was helping the health department sort of start a program that works on built environment issues. But I guess I just am really in awe of how these folks have taken it really so far, and the work that they're doing and getting involved, sort of internal work as well as external, and the advocate almost relate or working with advocates. That I just think that they are doing incredible work. And I just want to give I guess a quick also their innovation in being willing to work. I work in research at the medical school and provided some of the funding for the Walk Audit Academy, and so that sort of trifecta, I guess, is really just I think a terrific model, and I just love working with these folks.
I'm going to take a picture so you can't. Karen, come up here and get in the picture. Just in the picture. No, I was like, get on this side. There you go.
Oh, I guess I'm speaking. Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's hilarious that we've been joking in the office that we'll come in wearing our golden shoe, and I don't think I can fit this one. But I love it, and thank you so much. I don't have much to say except thank you, and I feel like I need to kind of make a golden shoe and give it back to Walk Massachusetts. To be honest, we really couldn't have done the work that we've been doing without amazing partners like Walk Bike Worcester and Walk Massachusetts. Whenever I call on them, they're ready to go and ready to work. And I just thank you. I remember I was pretty fresh in DPH when we started working on our first walk audit. And so kind of seeing things come full circle and things move along is just great. But just a big thank you to you all for all the work we've been able to do together.
Thank you. And Betsy Johnson for our last winner.
Well, unfortunately, our
Great, we're saving time.
yeah, we're going to do this.
So,
Each year we do try to also recognize some kind of company or developer who goes beyond up and beyond in terms of thinking about walkability as they develop their projects. And there is this company known as the First Resource Companies. They're a major income limited housing developer with a number of developments in Springfield, but also in Fall River and I think a couple other communities all over the state of Massachusetts. And one of the things they do is they really push back against the parking requirements because they know that their residents are walkers and are dependent on public transportation, and so really look to develop um, nodes, neighborhood nodes of development and of not just a single building here and a single building there, but really create whole walkable nodes of their buildings. And then they have, in particular, what called our attention to their efforts this year is they have just finished renovating. I think we recognize it on here. The it's the old factory where the Indian motorcycles used to be built in Springfield. And unfortunately, the building has two major of Springfield's killer arterials, State Street on one side and Wilbraham Road on the other. They have themselves built the protected pedestrian crossings across those two streets with the hawk beacons and made it so their residents can actually get across the street. Unfortunately, Gordon Pulsifer, their president, is out of the country on vacation. He let us know that the minute we told him you were getting the award. So I'm accepting it for him, and we'll get it to him.
congratulations.
And it, yes.
Fantastic. Let's give a big round of applause to all our winners tonight. Fantastic. So, thank you for all you're doing in communities across the state. So for tonight's keynote, we're very excited to have Monica Tibbetts-Nutt, the Secretary and CEO of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. Monica, I'm not going to read your whole thing. It's pretty long. But I'm going to say, Monica has done so many things, and we're so excited that she will do so much more. That's how we're going to leave, okay? So big round of applause, Monica Tibbetts-Nutt. I'm going to unplug this, so then you don't have to worry about that.
Thank you. I hate my bio. It's really long. I'll just hold it if that's okay. So I know most of you, and who I don't know, no, I'm pretty sure I just know most of you. We've either served on a board together, are maybe currently serving on a board together, have worked together on some project, or you've come to testify, usually in some sort of emotional distress, before me in one of these board roles. I cannot tell you how excited I am that the name is Walk Massachusetts. I really just want to start with this. I love this so much. I really do. I also do not live in Boston. I live in Devons in central Massachusetts, and I spend a lot of time outside of Boston. Until I had this new job, I really almost never came into Boston unless it was for a board meeting. I like Boston quite a bit. But I also really like Central and Western Mass, where I actually spend the majority of my time, not just living out there, but also, quite honestly, for a lot of the work we're doing. The reason I always really want to talk about that is for a very, very long time, cycling and pedestrian safety was only talked about within cities, usually Boston, Cambridge, and Somerville. And I think, as you all know, look at the data. People were dying outside of there. and people were living in situations where if they weren't getting killed, they were coming very, very close every time they stepped out of a car and really did anything not in a vehicle. And that's also not counting the car accidents that we have in Massachusetts. It's incredibly dangerous here. And the sad part is we're one of the safest states in the United States when it comes to these accidents. The reason I appreciate groups like this is because you actually make my job significantly easier. Because when people don't understand what we're trying to say, they don't understand, well, why are you putting money into this? Like, why are you putting money into this crosswalk? We want other things. We want fancier things. Why do you want to put in a new traffic light? Why do you want to put in flashing stop signs? It's groups like this that I can turn to and say, well, why don't you ask them? Because, like, I'm me, I'm an official, I represent an administration, I represent the Department of Transportation. Oftentimes, people don't always believe what I have to say, especially when it comes to money. Pretty much even this includes like my friends and family, like, I don't know, I don't trust it. So being able to have partners like this, they get to go to you because you represent not an administration, but you represent communities and organizations and people. You represent people. And I think at Mass DOT, this is something we spend a lot of time talking about, is we like to talk a lot about people because that's who we work for. And this is something I've said many times in different roles. I've never gotten to work in the government before. This is kind of like my first shot at this. And the thing I always said is I will not spend one day trying to keep my job. I just won't. Because otherwise it makes it very, very hard to actually do the job correctly. Because you're going to make tons of enemies. You're going to have to say things that people don't want to hear because it's either going to make them feel like really bad or it is going to put them in a position where they have absolutely no choice but to now do something with what you just said. And I'm surrounded by people who feel the exact same way. A lot of us have either worked in the government so long, people forget that they work in government so they can kind of just do the things they want to actually do. And now you have a bunch of people who have never worked in government, don't really, there's literally no way we're going to vest. So you're not like having to worry about us staying around just to get a pension. I will not make it that long. I just won't. But it does mean I get to have the really hard conversations. And the beauty of a microphone in all these different places, especially when it's being recorded, once I say it, it's there. And I have to deal with it. And anyone that works there, I can see people in here. It's just like, you know that. Like, I will 100% use that as a weapon. Because once I say it, it is now a policy. I have now weighed in. Once I write something down about a project I think is important, all the reasons I think it's important, well, now it's there. It just is. So now it kind of makes it to where we can really harness that. And the reason I want to say that is this is very personal. It should really be personal for everyone, but it is very personal for these groups. It's very personal for myself, and it's very personal for the people I work with and my family. I was in Worcester for the Day of Remembrance, and I brought my daughter with me, mainly because I don't really get to see her as often as I like, so I like to bring her to events with me. And when I told her what this event was, I was like, "We're gonna go to Worcester." She's like, "Awesome. There's some restaurants I'd like to go to." I'm like, "Fantastic." She was like, "Well, what are we going for?" I'm like, "Well, this is the World Day of Remembrance." She was like, "Well, what are we remembering?" I was like, "All the people who have been killed." She's like, "Doing what?" I'm like, "Doing a lot of things you and I like to do. Walking, cycling, all of those things." And she was like, "Is this because of the cars that are always speeding?" I'm like, "It is 100% because of the cars that are always speeding." I live in a super small town. There's like, it's not even actually really a town. It's a census designated place, but regardless, there are 1,300 of us. It's a very, very small community. And it has kind of this weird, like Mayberry feel to it. So kids actually ride their bikes in the streets. And at first it was, not a really big deal because there just aren't that many people that live there. And then we had a couple of different road closures, a couple of reconstruction, all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden, cars were coming down our street. And it's 25 miles per hour because you all know that legally, unfortunately, we can't go lower than that, despite the fact we really should. That's a policy for a different day. But those cars started coming through there, and then they started going faster. And then they started going faster. And now you have kids who can no longer bike on the street. Now they're in the sidewalks, which cool because we love that too. Then they're like, well, I want to get to the other side. And then they start going faster. And then they start going faster. And now you have kids who can no longer bike on the street. Now they're in the sidewalks, which cool because we love that too. Then they're like, well, I want to get to the other side of our super small residential street so I can go to my friend's house. So I see my daughter, I'm like out gardening, and I see her riding the bike. I see her go to the crosswalk, and she's been raised right. So she gets off her bike. She's looking both ways, and then she goes to cross. And out of nowhere, I have no idea where this car came from or the speed at which they would have to be traveling that I didn't even see them. Because, anyone that is around kids or has, you're just like all the time. You just presume you're in a park, you might be hit by something. So you're ever vigilant. I didn't see it. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh no. So I yell for my daughter, and she just like freezes, but freezes. And so she's like foot off the sidewalk and freezes. And my heart immediately stops. I am now sprinting, and I got there and grabbed my daughter. Luckily, the car, we had a little bit of space there. The car did not recognize any of the things that had just occurred. Didn't recognize that there's a child standing there. By the way, she has the brightest pink helmet, also only exists in neon colors. She's got a flag on her butt. You could not literally be more visible than my daughter is anytime she is out and about. They didn't see her. They didn't see me sprinting. My giant gardening hat, it's big, trust me. Saw none of this. Did not hear the things that I am now yelling at this person. And I mean, I flipped out. I lost it. And I was just like, you didn't even notice. And this is the world's smallest street. And so I'm like, all right, we got to handle this. So I'm like on group chats. I'm like, we need to do something about this. And they were like, well, can't you do something about this? And I was like, well, kind of, but kind of not, which is kind of messed up. Like, kind of not. Because it is one of those things where you have to be equal. Everyone has to have equal access to being able to change your streets, which means you shouldn't get to jump the line just because I happen to live on it. And so we didn't jump the line. And I was like, all right, neighbors, we're going to have to do this like genuinely the right way. I can't be involved in this. We got to make this work. So then we get into the machine. And I have to say, every single step, my wife is like, why? And a lot of you in here know my wife. So you know how she's like, why? And I'm like, and she's a planner. And she was like, this is ridiculous. Why is this like this? She's like, okay, we're going to figure this out. So this goes on and it drags on. I finally had to call the state police because we don't have a police department. We have a state trooper. And I'm like, okay, listen, I'm calling you in a professional capacity because I've literally been left no choice. What are you going to do about this? Like, what do you want me to do? I can't do this. I cannot change this. He's like, okay, I'll start pulling people over. So he now just starts pulling everyone over. Everyone is getting pulled over. My neighbors are getting pulled over, everybody. And they were like, you. And I'm like, you asked me. I'm in now. And but here's the thing. It was great. It was great because he was citing people. And I'm like, awesome. Things slowed down. We were solid for like 6 weeks. 6 whole weeks. Here we go again. And now I'm just like, all right. Now we're going to have to bring out the big guns. So then I'm just calling around to people. I'm like, I need a flashing stop sign, but I can't get the state to pay for it. So we're going to have to figure something out here. And so basically, we just started paying for things around the state. We got a lot quicker than you would have gotten it from the state. We just did. And no offense to the state, but we're pretty hard to deal with because we have 351 municipalities. And like I said, we're not even a town. The state didn't have time for this because our backlog is so deep. But that's what it took for the Secretary of Transportation to get a flashing sign 20 feet from my house. That's what it took all of that. And this took months. And you cannot imagine the anger of my neighbors. Like, I have to see these people and they're just like, what's going on? It's not up yet. We noticed that. No? They're like, guess what? Birthday parties. We noticed we have a lack of signage. And I'm like, I hear you. I am doing everything I possibly can. So we finally get the sign. Chill it. Got the button. Kids are loving this. We're doing like little training sessions. Like, here's what you do. You press the button, then you wait. You look every possible direction you could even think of, and then proceed. Once again, this is great for about 6 weeks. And then here we go. people are just blowing past this. And so now we're just kind of sitting and we're like, what exactly do you do to this? Like, we'll add speed bumps. I'm like, this ain't gonna help. They didn't want to listen to me on that one. So I'm like, you know what? I've pled my case. We don't want speed bumps. Okay, let's do it. And now I'm like, oh, now they're gonna get a running start. Great. So now people flying over the speed bump to then try and bear down on our children. This just continued and continued and continued. And so we have not found a way to fix this. So you want to do now? Now we have the parent group chat. We're like, okay, listen, we're doing a crossing. And so some parent will run out to the escorting of all children to cross our street. That's literally what we have to do now. And the thing is, and we're lucky we have the ability to do it. We have people who are home, do not have to go into work to do it. We have kids who have parental figures or guardians in their life to be able to do it. That's unreasonable for pretty much anywhere. And so then it means that basically you just have to have someone who can escort you. And that really does not always help. I've almost been hit by cars in my street so many times I cannot even count. And so then what am I supposed to do in all the rest of these communities? To say it's not enough, the state can't do it all, and it shouldn't be on residents to have to do this just to keep their neighborhoods safe, which is why it's so amazing to be in a room full of people like you and to see projects like that, because that's what it takes. And especially in our environmental justice communities, especially in our communities of color, because you think my town was low on the list, they buried on the list. They do. And that happens before it ever gets to the state. That's just so many layers of bureaucracy just to make our streets safe. So then what are we doing as a state? We're getting aggressive. We're getting really, really aggressive. We are pushing for less warnings, more citations. Ticket them. Because I'm telling you, something slows someone down real quick, like get your license suspended. And the beauty is we get to be in charge of that too. Because we will 100% take your license. We have absolutely no problem doing that. Feel free to plead this out in a hearing. But if you're going 95 miles per hour in a 45, you're not going to be driving in Massachusetts anytime in the near future. We're building a long-range plan. We have Beyond Mobility. This is looking at the next 50 years for Mass DOT and the T. Safety and equity are the hallmarks of our plans. Those are the lenses. How are we going to keep people safe in all the many ways we need to keep them safe, and how are we going to do it in an equitable manner? Big thing always comes back to funding. We talk about this all the time. We're broke. I literally said that in a budget meeting today. I'm like, we're poor. So if anybody wants anything, like, we are poor, we have no money, especially for private developers who already have money. You don't need my money. But we don't have enough money, but we've never had enough money. We're probably very rarely going to have enough money for transportation, especially safe transportation. So what are we going to do about that? We're going to get aggressive. This governor likes fight. He does. He loves to fight. So you know what? We're creating this task force. And this funding task force is different than the other commissions, the other task force, and the committees. I know. Trust me, I've sat on a couple of these, so I'm going to be realistic with everyone. This one's actually different because we're not censoring this. I'm going to talk about tolling. I'm going to talk about charging TNCs more. I'm going to talk about potentially charging more for package deliveries, charging more for payroll tax, basically going after everybody who has money. And when I'm talking tolling, I'm talking at the borders. I'm not talking like within Massachusetts. I pay the toll, so it is one of those, like, when people are like, "You just want tolls." I'm like, "I pay the toll. This is not in my best interest to raise these." But we're going after all the people who should be giving us money to make our transportation better and our communities better. The other big thing about what we're doing is we're not doing it in isolation. We're not just doing it with transportation experts, working with businesses, working with community groups. Because the thing that we're really starting to realize is transportation has a housing problem, housing has a transportation problem, and economic development is suffering from both of us. It is. Right? Thank you. I feel like a lot of us have been saying this for a long time, but once again, now we're in this. I get to say it publicly. We have to fix them and take them all on at the exact same time. And that is the beauty of this cabinet, is we actually talk to each other. Yvonne Howard, Secretary of Economic Development, we send gifts. That's how much I talk to her. Secretary Gustus, not on that gift game, but he and I are in constant coordination because his thing is like, okay, where can we put housing? And I'm like, well, here's a bunch of state-owned land. Mascot owns tons of land. This is like a weird thing that most people don't know. We're the largest landowner in the Commonwealth. And you know what we're doing now? We're getting creative. Why don't we start building housing on our land? Why not? It's just sitting there. And you know what? It is. It's just sitting there. And I'm not talking about the places where we like store salt. That really do genuinely need. But we have a whole other bunch of places that are near rail or they're near roadways because that's kind of how we design where we put them. And now we can build housing on them. We can also better fund the T so they can put more transit out there. We talk a lot about slow zones, and they are horrible. They are crippling us. And this GM, man, works. He does. He is out there. Like when I say he is out there in the streets, he is. He is probably out there doing some rail something right now because that's just how he is. But he needs to focus on that. And then for me, it's figuring out, okay, how are we moving commuter rail trains faster? Because we know where people live and it sure as heck is not our subway lines. So now it's looking at Western passenger rail. But how do we actually put federal money on this? $3 billion last year we got from the feds. Getting aggressive, applying for every possible thing, even things where like, I'm not even sure I have a project for this, but I'm going to apply for it anyways. Because we know how long it's going to take to get funding. We know how long we're not getting subway expansions anytime in the near future. I like to be honest, that's not happening. It just isn't. But you know what we can do? We can expand the commuter rail and we can make the commuter rail cheaper. Oh yeah. And because that's serving the communities that have housing. When we look at the gateway cities, you just keep moving out, they're building housing, they're building affordable housing. I just met with the mayor of Gardner. They built 512 units just last year. That's the thing. There are all these communities doing it. We're taking some to court, but some of them are just doing it because they know it's the right thing to do. I'm not shouting out in particular communities, but I've been very real about this. We will 100% sue you. But there are a bunch of municipalities that are doing Worcester out there, doing amazing small businesses, getting housing. We can always do more, but it is now up to us to meet those communities, and it's up to us to fund communities that are just doing the right thing. They're not having to be forced, they're just doing the right thing. So now it really is getting aggressive. We have to be innovative with our plans. We have to be upfront with our plans, and we need to be very transparent with the work we're doing. That's why when I come out to do this stuff, you're going to get unfiltered. You just are. Because that is what we have to do to instill confidence in what we're doing so that you trust that we're using your money to the best possible use we can, and that you know every time we talk about some great shared use path, which I think we opened like 28 miles of them yet last year. I love cutting ribbons on those things. And we talk about all the new safety things we're doing, all these countermeasures, and then we have 2 fatalities. And the thing is, we talk about Vision Zero, and we've talked about this for so long. I think for me, it really is, 1 is too many. It's too many, and I just need you all to know that is how we feel. Our highway division, every fatality, they know the name, they know the face, they know about their family, they know what they did for a living, and they know everything that they left behind. That is how personal it is for us. And now it is pushing our legislature, it's pushing our municipalities, and it's pushing the bounds of the way we have already done things because we know it doesn't work. And so for me, my ask is very, very simple. You hold us to it. Don't let me forget. Don't let me lie. Don't let us sugarcoat something. You say, listen, you came out and you said this mattered to you. Why are you not prioritizing this? You said it mattered to you to slow people down. Why aren't you fighting for us on this? We collect the data that help inform these. So if we're going to collect the data, then it is our responsibility to push for doing something with that data. The one promise I will always make to everyone I serve, because I do mean this, I serve. I work for everyone in the Commonwealth. I will never lie about something. And I will always own when we mess up. Because we do mess up. I mess up. Luckily, I have a really good team, so I don't mess up too often because they help me to not mess up, but we're going to mess up and we're going to not know stuff. We don't know what your neighborhoods need. We don't. And we're not going to do this thing where we're like, well, we looked at a GIS layer and we saw this demographic. So we're like, we're good. We got this. No, we're going to actually be out in your communities because walk audits, we need that. We need that. But the other thing is when we're doing a highway project, we have to be out there because we don't know what it looks like either. We have a lot of really tough years coming up. This budget this year is brutal. And the House came back with something even uglier. It's going to be a really, really tough time. And a lot of these projects are decades. I think that's the other thing. We have a lot of projects that are decades. So it really is looking at, okay, then what can we do in the meantime? And the big things, like I said, we're going after housing, slowing people down, and fixing dangerous intersections. Some of them we built 50 years ago, and now we need to get in there and fix them. But the enforcement piece is really, really big. And that's another thing. I can put all the pressure in the world on the police departments. State police have a little bit more control on that one. But all the rest of them, they don't care what I have to say. But we have the data. They're not writing citations, and people aren't slowing down. I think these two are related. So it's also, we need that fight too. We need to take the fight to the places we haven't taken them yet. And enforcement is one of those places. So I'm really excited to be here. I really hope you can tell how passionate I am and how passionate my team members who here, how passionate we are. Because we chose to go into government because we felt like we fought it on the other side. Let's try it on this side and see if we can get something done. So I don't know how much time we have. You know what? I didn't time myself. Did you time me?
Yes. No, I did not.
I'm just going to pontificate up here until Brendan tells me to stop
Well, Secretary,
talking.
I just learned 3 things tonight. That you're steps away from tactical urbanism.
Yes.
That you use hard G for GIF. And that you want us to hold you to it to slow people down. So I think those are my 3 takeaways.
I love that those were the.
Those are my 3
I love
takeaways.
that. I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you like to take some questions?
Oh yeah, because that's what makes my team real nervous.
Yeah. I see Michael twitching already.
Look, he is. He's just trying to just be like, it's fine. It's not a problem at all. Just ignore Michael. He's fantastic though. He is amazing, but he gets nervous. So, wait, are you recording this part too? The Q&A?
Yes.
Let's do it.
We don't record the Walk Massachusetts Network questions. Wednesdays, 3rd Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. But we do record these ones.
Oh,
So,
he felt so good when you said you weren't going to record it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I will keep this reasonable.
Who has a question? Or a statement? This is a room of statement people. Yeah.
So I love, sorry, Duncan Sanger, a long-time Walk Massachusetts, formerly Walk Boston aficionado. Used to help out on some committees. Long story short, so the bike lanes, I love the bike lanes, except the ones that are sort of between where cars are parked and the sidewalk.
Those are wild.
They are absolutely crazy, and
yeah, they're horrible.
I just was curious whether there's a happy medium, no pun intended, where we can like improve the way those things are laid out.
I don't know. You know this community. There's very rarely a happy medium. This is an issue. The other big issue we have with these are cyclists running into pedestrians and especially people in mobility devices. This bike lane situation is tough because we love bike lanes. I do. I love bike lanes, but only when they're actually protecting cyclists and also if they're in a situation where we're not then endangering other vulnerable users. This one, we haven't found the right design yet. I really don't think we have. I think we're getting better at it. And a lot of this is really, quite honestly, just revisiting bike lanes that were put in not that long ago and really looking at it. We're working with a lot of partners on this one, especially around a lot of the work we're doing around the vulnerable users. We haven't gotten it right yet. I don't have a good answer for that one, but I know it is a problem and we will figure out a way to do better designs, but that one's not a good one.
Hi. My name is Patsy. I am a Chelsea resident, former East Boston resident. I am a Green Roots member, and I walk in the Green Roots with Noemi and this crew, super cool crew.
I love Green Roots, by the way.
Oh, me too.
You've yelled at me a lot, and it's really actually been really
Oh, yeah.
no, it really a delight.
So-
No, I'm not being sarcastic. It has actually been a wonderful relationship. It really has, because I'm telling you,
That's
we
where
made some
I'm
mistakes.
going.
All right.
So,
I wasn't trying to preempt that though, by the way. I didn't know that was going to be where you were going.
yes.
Okay. Go.
This is sort of a question slash urgency call for the de-leading process of the
Yes.
Tobin Bridge. I think it was 2 weeks ago, the mesh fall down.
Yep.
And this is very concerning for our communities. I think this should be like top priority, more so saying that the other side of the Tobin Bridge, for some reason, does not need to be de-leaded, and our Chelsea community is suffering from a lot of burdens, environmental hazards
Yep.
that we all know what that entails, and I think that should be very urgent. Yeah, if you have anything to say about that process, how's that going? I would appreciate it.
It is very urgent. And seeing all the pictures of all of that paint on playgrounds and people's yards, it was disgusting. And I have to say, it should have never happened. It just shouldn't have ever happened. And when that mesh came down and then did the exact same thing, it shouldn't have happened. I will say, we will get this cleaned up. We are working desperately on mitigation measures. They're not going to make up for it. We will do everything we can, but I'm telling you, this is urgent. It is embarrassing. No one should have to live like that. We shouldn't be having to lead test children and pets. It is embarrassing. We will get this cleaned up as fast as possible, but there's really nothing I can say that justifies what has already happened. We have the mitigation fund that we're spending on doing HEPA filters, air conditioners. It's actually all that we can do, and just work as fast as we can while trying not to make it worse than it already is. It is a priority. This is much more important to me than a lot of the projects get pressed all the time. It just really is. We talk a lot about bridges. That is the biggest bridge issue we have currently. It is a way bigger issue than the Cape Cod bridges. It just is. It's just not as easy a solution. It is a priority. Thank you to Green Roots, because I don't know if a lot of people know, if it wasn't for Green Roots, the cleanup never even would have began. It just wouldn't have, because it's been ignored for a very long time. And if Green Roots hadn't just showed up every single day, it was just like, pictures, do you see this? Our kids are eating this, our pets are eating this. So the apology is for me and the thank you is to you. We will get this done as quickly as we can.
Thanks. Hi, Secretary. It's great to call you Secretary.
Good to see you.
And so, as you know, I've been on the I-90 task force for many, many years.
Really? This is what we're going to talk about too?
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I'm going to start out with happy things. One is that we are so excited to have gotten some federal money for it, and specifically for all the stuff that we want. And also, we were even more excited that that was so quickly followed up with finally a decision to finally do the right thing on the Cambridge Street overpass and rebuild it in a way that's actually ADA accessible. And so my question is, can we look forward to a springtime of many more decisive decisions on things like, for example, getting rid of the rail layup? And
Oh, the layover's got to go.
that's on camera, right?
Oh, don't worry. Haha. I've already said this twice. I counted in my head before I said it. No, the layover's got to go. It's super. Like, if you look at the section, actually, you want to know who brought me the section? Fred Salvucci came in, brought the section. He was like, you can't build it. I'm like, oh, now I'm giving him all the credit for it. It was my idea. No, it was actually Fred's. The layover's got to go. The big thing we're waiting on right now is we got to find where that layover space is going to go for the T. So this is the time we could put pressure on the city of Boston, because we need wide ed. We need to put it there, because otherwise, I don't know if anyone's seen this. Basically, it's like, oh, we're going to reconnect neighborhood to water. Layover space, giant wall. So it actually is not reconnecting at all, which is the whole point of the 335 million. The layover space will go away.
Thank you.
Haha. Oh, of course, Nina. Of course. I see you. I don't know what you're going to ask. This one's kind of, I thought she might ask about I-90. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this is out of left field. I've just, it's out of left field. I have always wondered, there's this big debt on the MBTA that was put on it for a car project.
Oh, for the big dig debt during that whole forward funding. Happy birthday, mascot.
Yeah, that. And I'm just wondering, will that ever be just taken away and put somewhere else so that the T can do its thing?
If I could manifest this by saying, yes, that might happen, I would. It's not going to happen. Many people are way smarter than I am, have taken a run at this. It just isn't going to happen because no one knows where that debt would go. Because the only options are go back to the Commonwealth, which in this economic climate is definitely not going to happen. Go to DOT, we can't afford it either. It's just not. And that's why, I mean, honestly, our efforts are, I know, it's super messed up. It is. Because it is. I mean, anyone that's listened to the Big Dig podcast, if you haven't, please do. Yeah, the MBTA is paying for a project that destroyed communities of color, did all these horrible things, did do some beneficial things, I will say. I'm not going to say that it didn't do some beneficial things, but the mitigation hasn't come to full fruition yet. We're getting there. I just don't see anyone wanting to take that on. I really don't. The best chance we have is me finding way better sources of revenue than ever trying to restructure that debt.
Thank you for doing that.
We're trying.
Marion.
Hi, my name is Marion Davis, and I live in Somerville, and I have very strong opinions about McGrath Highway, but that's not what I'm going to say.
I do too. I do too. It's hideous. Yes.
Oh, not just that, but like, let's not turn it into a gigantic strode that happens to have a little green median in the middle. Please, I beg you. But no. But what I wanted to ask you about was gigantic trucks and gigantic SUVs, but also now these pickup trucks, like the Ford F-150 gazillionth. I am terrified that they're going to just squish me like a bug and not even notice. And they're all over our cities.
That's very reasonable. They're massive.
Is there anything that DOT can do to help protect us a little bit from them, or at least disincentivize people from buying them?
The problem is we can't. They're already so expensive. I mean, that's just true. We can't price them high enough or put enough fees on them enough that's going to stop the type of person who wants to buy that car. And I am 100% passing judgment on someone who wants to drive basically an 18-wheeler as their personal car. We have no control over it. We can't. There's nothing we can do. At least legally, there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, honestly, a lot of that goes to FHWA really going at the federal regulations. They are the ones that dictate everything we can do as a registrar of motor vehicles. And there's nothing we can do about that. It's horrible. And the thing is, right now we're talking about the weight of EV cars and especially larger EV SUVs. So this is something, trust me, we're concerned about from a safety standpoint. Also, most people don't realize our roads are not built for that weight. So now we're going to be replacing those a lot quicker too. There's nothing we can do about it. The only people who can, federal government and car makers. That's literally the only two people. That's a horrible answer. It really is. There's just nothing. Oh, I don't think we can do that either. That's federal highway.
She said require a CDL, in case people didn't hear that.
Yeah, no, that's federal highway. We can't do that.
How about touching the excise tax?
I'm going after that.
Okay, great. Like for these.
Oh, that's already on my list. You don't need to worry
great.
about that.
So, yeah, let's think about this heavier vehicles. With
that
the
might
tax.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a bad. I did not agree to it. I just said it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
That I will actually look and see if any other states done it.
Great. Also, maybe think about on the local. New York is doing something right now. So
well, okay, New York is doing just. Do you think I don't have their entire playbook? I do. I'm just going to go down through their list.
Michael's twitching. I think you're done here. So.
No, said that one too. I said that one.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. So also, you also get a golden shoe for what you will be doing in the coming years. So. Okay. You will come back? I like this. I like this. So, yeah. It's great. Can we get a picture together, though? So. We both decided to wear our shoes tonight, our sneakers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone. There is still beer and wine. There is still plenty of food, and I believe we have bags over there. So because we forgot them last year, Naja reminded me that need to take stuff home. Right? Yeah. Yes. Do take the food home. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you all. So, thanks so much.